Cross Guild presents a Yonko showdown on the giant warrior island. Shanks and the red hair pirates versus Luffy and the Straw Hats. The Davy Back fight you've all been waiting for. Welcome to Signature Seb, the channel where I try to stamp my signature on the series that I love. Many of you may be familiar with me from that One Piece talk. And trust, your boy's not going anywhere. You can still catch me and the guys Mondays at 6 p.m. for our reactions to chapters, theory reviews, and all the latest One Piece news. Be sure to call in and give us your hottest One Piece takes. We also go live on Wednesday nights for our Davy's Dark Tournament series, the show where we get your input on hypothetical matchups in the One Piece verse. You know the vibes, who you got, what diff, and why. Join our Discord to champion for your favorite combatants. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Seriously, Seb? Another Straw Hats versus Red Hair Pirates Davy Back fight theory? We've heard them all. And honestly, I can't blame you. It's been done to death. But I haven't dropped a video on it. And I have a slight twist. So bear with me as I try to stamp my signature on a common One Piece prediction. So something I've pointed out in the TOPT Discord and that we've discussed on the show is the different paths of Luffy, Law, and Kid. Upon leaving Wano, the three worst generation captains all got different paths with the log post. Luffy and Kid quite literally drew straws to determine who was going where, but who truly drew the short straw? Luffy and the Straw Hats have ended up on Egghead Island after running into fellow supernova, Jewelry Bonnie. They find themselves meeting the world's #1 scientist, Dr. Vegapunk, and his 6 external personalities. CP0 and the highly touted Seraphim in the middle of a murder mystery in the labs of Punk Records. With Admiral Kizaru and a Gorosei member en route, typically they'd be in the worst situation, right? Well, Law wasn't faring much better. The Heart Pirates ran into the Yonko Blackbeard and his crew, fresh off a skirmish with Boa Hancock, Captain Kobe, S-Hawk, S-Snake, and Rayleigh. Teach was actively targeting any of the supernova in traffic to grab up some road poneglyphs. Law's crew has always been labeled weak by the community, and we're facing down a Yonko crew. New and tricky devil fruits like the strong fruit for Jesus Burgess, the sick fruit for Doc Q, and the ability to warp for Van Augur, coupled with the fact that Blackbeard himself has 2 of the strongest devil fruits in the verse, one of which can take away Law's ace in the hole Ope Ope no Mi, the outcome was inevitable. Law and the Heart Pirates were utterly defeated at Winter Island. The polar tank sunk to the bottom of the ocean, and a Sulong Beppo desperately escaped with Law on his back. When we polled our community, before that run of chapters, the majority of fans voted that Eustace Kid's path was the hardest after Wano. And for good reason. Kid and his crew were also completely defeated by Shanks. Their ship destroyed, their poneglyph rubbins taken, and their dream of becoming Pirate King ultimately crushed. All it took was one damn shot from Shanks and Kid was packed up. The Yonko saw a potential future he didn't like and acted swiftly to change it. Such is the fate of the man deemed Luffy without plot armor. But is there a glimmer of hope for Kid and his crew? Maybe, but more on that in a bit. But back to the 3 supernova paths. What intrigues me all about these 3 scenarios is this. Both Luffy and Law are potentially experiencing outside forces crashing the party, with Law escaping but surely looking to spin the block for his crew on the Blackbeard's home base, Pirate Island Beehive. The hero of Marines himself, Monkey D. Garp, and Sword is currently doing battle with his protege Kuzan and the Blackbeard Pirates to rescue Kobe, who Garp deems the future of the Marines. Now, I personally don't subscribe to the theory that Law is a member of Sword per se, but I can see a scenario in which Blackbeard's crew shows up with Law's crew as prisoners. Law should be looking to get his crew back from Blackbeard, and leverage is Blackbeard's go-to maneuver in all negotiations. Whatever Garp pulls off against Blackbeard can lead to Law getting his crew back, and a Heart Pirate's escape, especially if Aokiji is the double agent many of us think he is. Getting real Snape killing Dumbledore vibes here, but that's a video for another day. Luffy is in a different situation entirely. Help isn't on the way, only more enemies, with Kizaru and a fleet of Marines, including my girl Doll. Oda, more Doll, please. But yes, Egghead is turning into a New World version of Shipoti Archipelago. And with Shaka's conversation with Dragon, Vegapunk's overall connection to Kuma and the Revolutionaries, and the appearance of Saint Saturn, I wouldn't be surprised if Luffy did get an assist from his father by arc's end. But what about Kid? While 1079 did showcase to us Shanks' ruthlessness if his friends are attacked, it also showed us his fair and reasonable side. He did check to see if Kid was injured from his battles on Wano before going to fight him. Can we take a second to appreciate Shanks having scouting reports for his opponents? Man was tossed a full-blown dossier on Kid. I doubt he just straight up lets Kid and crew drown into the bays of Elbaf, especially after Wire gave up the poneglyph rubbings, pleading for his captain's life. Punk ass, all that shit he had to say about Sanji. Never mind. No, I think Shanks will take Kid prisoner, and some inner reflection will be needed for the captain. Do I continue pirating? Are these crewmates that gave up so quickly really ride or die? Maybe I start over with just Killer. Assuming he doesn't retire, after answering some or all of those questions, he's going to try to escape and possibly get revenge on Shanks. Yeah, he's got Killer, but clearly that's not enough to deal with the gauntlet he'd be facing. Now, it is in true Oda fashion to have Kid go through this type of struggle alone and fail, but I think he's got different plans this time. Oda's been having the three supernovas run parallel ever since their escape from the auction house on Sabaody, and I believe he will continue their mirrored journeys through this final saga. So if outside forces are coming to Beehive and Egghead, then somebody should be coming to Elbaf. But who? I think the Straw Hat Grand Fleet is coming to Elbaf, and the history-changing event that was teased by the narrator is a Yonko showdown with Luffy and Shanks on the giant warrior island. To me, they're the only realistic choice for a few reasons. One, Shanks was just chilling on Elbaf. Could it be because he already defeated and captured Bartolomeo for messing with his territory and burning his flag? He did say he was about to set sail, so it's possible he was on his way to deal with him. Either way, Shanks and Barto have had or are headed for a clash. If it's already happened, then it's possible word got back to the rest of the Grand Fleet, and they may have went out to challenge Shanks to rescue their fellow Straw Hat follower. But how could they have gotten word? Well, number two, Hadrudin is from Elbaf. If he's bore witness to a defeated Bartolomeo, or has info on Shanks' plans to take on the Grand Fleet captain, then alerting the gang is in his best interest. Beyond that, he is a native of the island, and Kid recently took down Big Mom, who Hadrudin has long-standing beef with since childhood as she destroyed Elbaf in her younger years. If he sees Kid, a man the newspaper says teamed up with Luffy to take down his arch nemesis, it's very possible he'd fight to help free the young supernova from the Yonko shackles. Number three, the princess of the bourgeois pirates is also an ally of Shanks. Could there be a connection to Cavendish, formerly of the bourgeois kingdom? I don't know, maybe. In my eyes, there are some organic reasons for a few of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet captains to be involved in this Elbaf plot. And let's be honest, Kid needs all the help he can get here if he's to continue his journey past this island. Regardless of how we get there, I can totally see the Straw Hat Grand Fleet showing up on Elbaf. Maybe not for Kid, but alongside him in defeat. But after Shanks has dealt with Kid and Luffy's underlings, where does the story progress from there? This is where Cross Guild comes in. Buggy will get word of this entire situation, and he will realize Luffy will not stand still. As a pirate, Luffy can't sit back as several captains flying his flag are defeated by another pirate. Now, in my original thought process for this theory, Buggy was going to try to use Shanks and Luffy to pay back Crocodile. The reasons for Buggy were obvious. He needs to pay back Crocodile and continue to fund Cross Guild's bounty payouts as they continue to ramp up after T-Bone's assassination. I'm sure Mr. Zero isn't accepting any IOUs or buggy bucks. The Clown Prince will see this as the perfect chance to get out from under Crocodile's hook and probably even come up himself. Simply having Mihawk and Crocodile on Buggy's team isn't netting him any cash straight up. No, to get out of Dodge, he needs to hit big, and capitalizing on this kind of situation is exactly the move Buggy would make. Being the opportunist that he is, I can still see Buggy reaching out to his good friend and rival Shanks with a grand idea. Settle the dispute with a Davy Back. Winner takes all, but let him sell tickets. I don't see Shanks or Luffy having any reason to say no. Mihawk and Crocodile showed no interest in fighting any of the other Yonko, but hosting them? That's another story. Going all the way back to Luffy and Buggy's encounter at Orangetown, Buggy knows about Shanks and his relationship with the Straw Hat. Using Shanks and Luffy's names to get him out of a sticky situation is essentially Buggy 101. It's basically his entire storyline during Impel Down and Marineford. However, in chapter 1082, Buggy recently proclaimed that he wants to be the Pirate King, and that Shanks is indeed his rival for the throne. While Buggy knows that he can't defeat Shanks or Luffy, he does want the world to view him in a light that shows he reigns superior over his contemporaries. Hosting a fight between the two would be a good way to show the world that these other pirates respect his authority, so long as that's the story the tabloids run with. In chapter 1058, it was highlighted that Buggy's got top-tier connections in design, advertising, printing, and distribution working for him. Was that set up only to establish the reasoning for him being chairman, or for another mass media blitz? And who are we kidding? This is big news. An assist from the World Economic Journal and Big News Morgans would be in order as well. Beyond that, hosting events like this fits the circus theme of his crew, similar to how Foxy's crew hosted the first Davy Back fight that we've seen. Cross Guild will cover the officiating and security, just like Buggy tried to do in the One Piece movie Stampede. I know I can see classic Buggy pirate members like Alvida, Mr. 3, and Baji being referees, and maybe even Mr. 1 making sure nobody gets out of line at the venue. It's also possible that Oda foreshadowed Buggy broadcasting another event to the world at Marineford using the virtual Den Den Mushi, another element from an even more recent One Piece movie, featuring Shanks, I might add. Buggy's got a real boxing promoter vibe to him at times, and being the first pirate in One Piece to set up a pay-per-view event using other pirates is GOAT tier stuff, I might say. As far as the other head honchos of Cross Guild, Crocodile will agree to attend to ensure his investment is profitable. Mihawk will attend to see Luffy versus Shanks and how far Zoro has truly come. The Cross Guild leaders overseeing all the festivities like the host of any anime tournament. And in Mihawk's case, I can even see him stepping in to fight Zoro in one of the events if he feels the time is right. Man, the Davy Backs open up so many possibilities. Can you imagine Luffy's surprise when he sees he's been slotted for a Davy Back fight with Shanks on Elbaf out of nowhere? The world would be insanely hyped for the equivalent of a heavyweight showdown between Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. I know I'd pay for tickets, or at least buy the pay-per-view. And as I've pointed out earlier, it's been theorized by many folks that any battle between Luffy and Shanks likely won't be an extremely antagonistic one. Obviously, a Davy Back fight presents the perfect setup for some competitive conflict resolution. I, like many, believe Shanks has the final road poneglyph on Elbaf, and after defeating Kid and acquiring his 2 rubbings, would give him 3 just like Luffy. Both pirates only missing 1 that the other still has access to. A Davy Back fight with a few road poneglyphs and a trip to Raftel on the line is perfect for Luffy and Shanks. Maybe a Straw Hat reunion too. And low-key, that's the beauty of it. To the world at large, this is just an epic battle between 2 of the Yonko, and to Buggy himself, this is simply the means to save his ass and to push the narrative that he isn't equal to them. But to Shanks and Luffy, and to us readers, the results of this match will determine the captain one step away from becoming the Pirate King. Buggy finally taking a massive W, but opening the path to Pirate King for someone else is quintessential Buggy. The entire pirate world would be on edge, as Luffy, the wildest and most reckless of the emperors, will have just survived a crazy scenario on Egghead, and is now for sure facing off against the longest tenured Yonko, Shanks. And with this all being Buggy's idea, he gets full credit as the host of the event. He and Cross Guild may even partake in a 3-way battle, or if he's brave enough, challenge Blackbeard too, and have a Yonko summit that will put the Kage meeting to shame. Now, as for where Kid fits in, I'm not sure. My girl Chestnut Tanuki has theorized that Kid will ultimately be forced to join Shanks' crew. In chapter 1079, it was highlighted that Shanks' sub-captains aren't too known for their strength. Maybe Shanks strikes a deal with Kid and Killer to fight under his banner in the Davy Back fight in order to gain their freedom? When the spoilers for that chapter came out, I trolled this idea in the Discord, but I can see a scenario where it happens. Just picture it. Kid is facing off with fellow red-haired pirates captive Bartolomeo in the Davy Back fight while Killer fights Cavendish. I mean, just look at those duos. Although they are polar opposites in terms of actual teamwork and dynamic, they do have a similar style to them. Rocker, head-banging punks Kid and Bartolomeo, and the blonde, super quick slashers in Killer and Cavendish. The Kid pirate captain and his first mate would surely be the favorites, or maybe not. Who knows if Kid can get around that barrier? Maybe an advanced Conqueror's hockey bloom to break the barrier can be the growth Kid needs to be a factor in the series again. I don't know. But as most arcs in the previous Davy Back fight versus Foxy shows us, the Straw Hats should take some L's to start things off. And who better than Eustace Captain Kidd to finally get a mini W after starting his L-Bop journey with a massive L. As Buggy and any great promoter will tell you, every main event needs a good undercard. It's also possible Kidd is simply forced to watch as 2 or 4 of the greatest pirate captains of all time face off, realizing he's simply not on their level. I don't know. I just think he and the Grand Fleet are the catalyst to the eventual matchup between Luffy and Shanks. Come one, come all to witness the pirate battle of the millennia. Yes, you flashy fools, Shanks and the red-haired pirates versus Luffy and the Straw Hats. Oh, and Marines are definitely crashing the party. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know if you'd buy the pay-per-view in the comments below, and be sure to join our Discord for daily One Piece conversation.